Hello everyone, my name is Paul McGuire and I've been asked to do a little workshop for you for your PD day. I hope you're having a great day today. I'm going to be doing a few things here for you. The first thing has to do with science inquiry, and then I'm going to, in a separate video, do something on historical thinking. First I want to tell you something about the tool I'm using to do these videos. I'm using a tool called Camtasia 2020. Now, the reason I mention this is that one of the jobs I have now is I teach at the University of Ottawa, and obviously all our teaching this year has been online. And at the beginning of this year, I was looking around for a whole variety of tools that I could use with our students. I wanted a really, really good screen capture tool to use, and I decided on this one. I had to pay for it, but it has a lot of functionality. It allows you to do editing of your video after the video is done. Lots of great stuff like that. It's very, very easy to use. You can see if my screen is displaying, it should be, how it's set up here so that you can see right here that as you record your video, you can actually go back in and do cutting and pasting. There's different tracks you can add in. I really have only scratched the surface on this tool, but I think it's a great investment. So that's the tool I'm going to be using for both the presentations I'm doing today. They're both short, so they shouldn't take too long. The one I want to start with is Discovery Education. Now this is a tool that comes from the United States. It's used in some parts of the country, and they have three main online digital textbooks, they call them, that are all great. The one that I've worked on a lot, doing editing and writing for, is Discovery Education, the Science Textbook, and I'm going to show you a bit of that here. They also have material for math and a social studies one. And I haven't done work on those, so I'm going to just reserve my comments to what they've done in science. One suggestion I have is you can see this the screen up right here. This is an easy screen to get to. I would take a look at it. You can, when you go there, you can actually contact them or click on Explore Now and set up an online tutorial with Discovery, so you can get a sense of what kind of programs and material they may offer you. So you can scroll through this page right here, and if you're not a subscriber, they'll give you a demonstration, and then you can set up more of a demonstration with them. The cool thing about a lot of stuff they're doing, I find now in science, is everything they do is inquiry based. So right here you can see they have a whole bunch of little snippets that you can go through with your students, and each one of them has to do with a question that they have. So this in itself is interesting, because what they've done with the material that they have put together is now everything they do is really based on an initial problem or question, and then in the science units, especially grades 6, 7, and 8, they kind of lead the students through that inquiry, but there's a lot of empowerment for students to make their own decisions and their own discoveries. So it's definitely worthwhile taking a look at some of this material here. I'll give you an example for the middle school program on what they have available. I've gone from the outside of Discovery to the inside of Discovery Education, and I can do this because I do writing and editing for them. Unfortunately, at this point, this is not something you can access unless you contact Discovery and get a license to have this in your school. And I would really suggest that you take a look at doing something like that, because if you want really, really strong material, online material for your students in the area of science inquiry, it's a terrific thing to consider. So going into the grade 6, 7, 8 material, let's see here. This is some of the units they have for grade 6. And you can see that. I didn't work on any of those, so I'm going to Take a look at the grade 7 stuff. And here's one that would be near and dear to the hearts of Canadians, Superstorm of 1993. One of the things that's really great about these units of study that they put together, they are all based on fact. Well, they have to be based on fact and science, but they're all based on actual events or current problems. This one has to do with a storm that took place in 1993. It affected the entire eastern seaboard of the United States, from Florida all the way up to Maine, and also affected us here in Canada. I don't remember it, but we get storms all the time, so what's to remember? So what they've done here is they start out by talking about, in the first activity, about the actual storm, what actually happened in the storm, and the kind of property damage it created and stuff like that. But what it gets into, as you scroll through the different activities, they start introducing other ideas and other problems for students to investigate. One of the really key things about discovery education in the science lessons, that from time to time they have something called a hands-on investigation. You can see one here on clouds. And this is basically an online lab that is set up for you. It tells you the materials that you're going to need for your lab. It tells you what the inquiry question is that you're looking for. It has a whole section called activity planning, and this is for the teacher. Materials list what you need for the whatever demonstration or experimentation you're doing, the purpose of this particular hands-on investigation, the questions that you'll be asking, and then you can go right in here, and it'll even break it down to the amount of time you need to spend when talking about clouds and asking questions to your students, setting up this hands-on activity. So this is outlined very, very clearly for the teacher. And it's basically a way of kind of setting up the experience that you're going to be having as you go through the hands-on activity. A lot of the discovery education material is it's video-based as well. So for each one of these units, they have an introductory video that they set up just to kind of get students thinking. And then they always have a phenomena or something that is based in science to kind of get students thinking about the stuff that they're doing. So this particular one, though we started with the very big storm, now we're going to break it down. And in this particular hands-on investigation, we're talking about clouds. Excuse me. As we scroll through here, we start looking at other things. So for like example, activity 6, they're talking about the water cycle. So basically what they're doing, they're starting with an event and a phenomenon, in this case, this big storm, and they're using that event or phenomena to teach other concepts in science. So then there's an activity, a whole lesson on the water cycle. And then they get into things like transpiration, evaporation. And so this continues, and each one of these lessons is timed out. They tell you how much time it really should take. But it goes through a natural progression and covers a whole bunch of other areas of science, but covers it in a different way where the whole unit is not called weather, for instance, or clouds. They've taken a different approach to how they couch all these different scientific terms. By the end, you're now getting into how do people predict storms? How is weather forecasting done? They have connections to careers, and you'll see these here where it says STEM in action. These are they relate to the science that you've done, but what kind of careers could come out of some of the work that they've been doing here. And they finish up with a project where in this project they're talking about how you would model a superstorm. And modeling is a really big part of what they do in these units. So students get a chance to come up with real world models that kind of emulate or reflect the kind of work that you're doing in the science. So that's just an example of one of the units. This is a middle school, I think grade 7 unit. Discovery education has material from kindergarten all the way up into high school. So it depends on what you're interested in and what you're teaching. There are people in Canada who can give you information about how how to start getting some of the Discovery Education material. I could even help you with that if you're interested, but it's something that I would definitely think about because I think having a rich online environment is going to be something that we're going to be having to deal with for quite some time. So this is not something that will get you through until the end of April. This is something that you could be using for the next few years. Prior to working at the University of Ottawa, I was an elementary school principal, and in our school, we had Discovery Education, and the teachers got very used to using the science textbook. We were the only school in our school board that had Discovery Education. We made our own arrangements to pay for a license so that we could get our teachers with accounts, and all the students also had accounts, so they could actually upload their material right to Discovery. So that's the first workshop that I'm going to do about Discovery Education. Please start by just going to discoveryeducation.com. Play around there. If you want to contact them, you can. If you want to get a demonstration about how it works, you can click right here. But easily one of the most useful tools, extremely well grounded in pedagogy, American, but the concepts translate very well into our context. And because you are an independent school, you probably have a little more flexibility when it comes to bringing in resources that you don't have to worry about a whole school board, which is what I'm trying to say. So take a look at that. I hope that's useful, and that's the first workshop that I'm doing. And again, I'll be coming back with another one using the same screencasting tool. And that's it for right now.